How to Ride Out a Rollover. Hello and welcome to episode 42 of Throwing Your Parents Under the Bus. I'm Jane Ubel, and with me today, of course, is veteran crash investigator and driver safety expert Mike Peel. How you doing, Mike?
I'm good.
All
Welcome.
right. And of course, we have Natasha, who is the keeper of our enrichments and our social media expert. And even though she's a little under the weather, she said, I'll come, we'll do it.
Of course.
Love it. Thank you for that. And of course, I'm going to turn it right over to you, Natasha, so you can tell us about today's lesson on rollovers.
Thank you. So enrichment 3 is for the student is to ask your parents about the worst thing that happened to them as a new driver. Shelby says, "Dear Drive Safe, Ride Safe. I asked my mom's scariest story, and she said, due to snowy weather, she once rolled a car when she was 19. She would be very scared of that. Well, me too, Shelby. One of my first cars was a Geo Tracker. It was a little Barbie Jeep that had signs posted on the roof of the car, warning, tipping hazard. So I took every turn very slow for that exact reason. Thanks, Shelby."
Well, that's one way to scare a kid is to have
Right?
warnings that it's going to tip over.
Warning, your car will tip over.
When the manufacturer starts putting it on the top of the car, look up, man, you're about to roll. Yeah. Probably not a safe car back then. And thankfully, we have weaned all the geo trackers out of the system now. I don't even know if you can. Matter of fact, I had to stop and think geo tracker. So I haven't seen one of them in many, many years. But anyway, folks, listen up. So rollovers happen. You see it a lot. And a couple things when you go by the next car that rolled over, I want you to look at where the windshield is. And even though the windshield is smashed and cracked and star cracks all over it, notice that if it's still intact, the hood of the car doesn't crush down on the heads. Okay. If the windshield comes apart, that means somebody went through it or it was misinstalled and it come unattached. You will notice the roof of the car is all the way down to the steering wheel. That is bad for us passengers, okay? Because that's not supposed to happen. So let's go back to the beginning. We don't know when you might choose to roll a car. For instance, if you were in my back seat, for me to avoid a head-on collision, I'm going to do that for my passengers. I'm going to see the head-on collision happen, and if my exit is to the right, the ditch might be a little bit steep, and as I exit and try and go down in the ditch, I might end up rolling the car. If our seatbelts are worn properly, your worst injury is going to be seatbelt bruises, is what they call. And if you think of an amusement ride where you go around, your centrifugal force actually keeps you in the seat and you're just kind of held in there. And at the end, you usually end up upside down and you push the button, you fall down to the hood of the car, you crawl out the side window. And remember, when we put the seatbelt on, we always give it a tug. You want that seatbelt below the belly button onto the hip bones. And, because that seatbelt riding over the top of your stomach, for you pregnant ladies, that's a no-no because you'll get liver, spleen damage. You need to get it underneath the belly button down to the hip bone. So that little tug does that. So wear your seatbelt properly because your car is designed that when it rolls, that you survive it. Very seldom when a rollover happens and people are seat belted in, almost never do people die. So that's a good thing. And when people are unbelted, almost always when they get ejected out of the car, they die. And, just to maybe scare you into putting that seatbelt on, it is no good when you fly out of that car at 60, 70 miles an hour and you go face first into a curb. Never a good thing. Well, when you get thrown into a tree, never a good thing. Or you get partially ejected and that car rolls over you several times. So you know what? Put the seatbelt on. It takes a second. They're not uncomfortable. everybody out there should be used to it anyway. And your car yells at you when you don't put it on now. The newer the car, the more it yells, because it's a good thing, guys. So put the seatbelt on and you'll live.
Yeah. What about, okay, I'm just going to ask the question. What about if your window's open? I mean, would you fly out or would you hit your head or how does that affect anything?
Okay, so first of all, remember the windshield of today's car is the roll bar of today's car. So the manufacturer, your windshield has to support the upside down weight of a car 2.5 times the weight of the vehicle. That's huge, man. Like in an airplane, they bounce airplanes on their wings to make it past the structural strength when it's up in turbulence. You know, I mean, if you've ever flown, sometimes you see them wings going like this and you go, how the heck does that thing just not snap off? Well, you know, in the automobile, the windshield's that way. Your side windows have nothing to do with the rollover. They're actually going to break, shatter, probably, we call them popcorn glass, and they just shatter out. So your car's not going to collapse down on top of you unless your windshield comes attached. How it comes attached is somebody goes through it, and those windows are all the way up or all the way down, because if your window's only halfway up, that when you're going to flying around inside the car, you could come down on the head on the top of that side window, and that's not a good thing. So, you know, if you can't get that window all the way down, like some of the back seat windows, they only go halfway down. And that's a very dangerous thing in even just a T-bone accident, let alone a rollover. So remember, if you can't put the window all the way down, then leave it all the way up. So all the way down or all the way up. You heard it here. Don't forget it.
All right.
That's right.
Now I want to throw out one other thing. What about airbags? Do they go off when you do a rollover or?
No. So the only time an airbag goes off, we have sensors in the front bumper, and that has to be depressed. That meaning sometimes when somebody rear ends somebody, their airbags don't go off because they slam their brakes on at the last second, and the front of the car goes down and it goes underneath the car they rear-ended. Okay, if the bumper doesn't get pressed in, and it's different from manufacturer to manufacturer, but it's 8 to 14 miles an hour, no front airbags will go off. The side curtain airbags and the individual airbags for the back seats and everything, they do not go off unless a little plunger inside the door, there's sensors inside your door that as they get hit, pops off them side airbags. So, but on a rollover, unless you hit one of the things, chances are you're not going to get the pillow effect of the rollover. And even if you did, remember those airbags deflate and they inflate and deflate in less than a second. So it's a boom as you hit it, they've already released their air. So they're very amazing.
Yeah.
Well, great. All right. Well, you know what? I think there's some great information there. And we're glad that Natasha lived with
Yeah.
the car.
Yeah, with my
used to drive.
geo-tracker. Yeah.
Yes, yes. We're glad for that. And then we're glad you don't own it anymore.
Yes, me too.
All right. Well, for those of you watching today, we truly appreciate you and hope you can share our podcast with your friends and family. And you can check out our other episodes by going to drivesaferidesafe.com/podcast. You can also go to YouTube and youtube.com/DriveSafeRideSafe1, which is the number, not the word. And that houses our podcast, along with more than 100+ short reels that have driving tips on almost any topic. And if you want, you can give us a shout out by emailing us, either if you have questions that you'd like answered or you have a driving story. So we'd love to hear from you. We are at drivesaferidesafe@gmail.com. Now, with that said, this has been episode 42 of Throwing Your Parents Under the Bus podcast. I'm Jane Ubel, and we want to remind you to
Drive safe.
Ride safe.
.com.